Howdy doody everybody, I'm Dave Shapcott and this is part 2 of how I got to adopt a Vietnamese daughter. And in 2004 I returned to Vietnam, having first met Hom in 2001, and then we'd been sponsoring her at that point as she went through the last of her secondary school education. So here we are, we arrived in Vietnam, and my wife meets up with Hom. And Hom explains that now that she's completed her secondary school education, she's about to start at Teachers Training College. So my wife and I talked and we thought, well, if she's going to go to Teachers Training College, perhaps she better have a motorbike to travel there, and she better have a cell phone so she can sort of communicate with the other middle class kids who will be in her class. So this is Hom with the motorbike that we got her, and she's about to head off to Teachers Training College. And we roll up to Teachers Training College one day, and there's Hom outside the gates as she enters into the training that she had to do for the next 4 years. So while we were there, we said to Hom, look, we'd really like to come out to your village and to meet your parents. And you know, whereabouts is your village? And she said, well, the village is in the Huong Yên province. I said, Huong Yên? Oh, that's great. I said, in 1970 I bought this book, The Peasants of North Vietnam, and there's a big section here about the folk in the Huong Yên province. She said, yeah, that's where I come from. I said, well, they were right to the forefront in the fight against the Americans. She said, oh yes, and my father was recruited into what we would call the Home Guard, because there was a great fear then that the Americans were going to invade North Vietnam. So every village had a Home Guard who all lined up with these rifles, which they took out the fields with them every day, all ready for, should the invasion take place, then they could transform themselves into soldiers and fight the American invasion, which never happened, but they were all ready for it, and her father was there. So here we are, Hom and I, a picture of us with the little kids who gathered around us when we arrived in the village. And here's another picture of the kids when we first arrived. Hom explained that a lot of these kids had never seen foreigners before, so it was a very exciting day for them to see all these foreigners suddenly wandering around. And we wandered into the village, and there is the path going into their village. And here is just outside of Hom's home. You notice there's a concrete path at that point. And here is the house that Hom was brought up and raised in. And here is me with Hom meeting her parents. So we talked with the parents and explained to the parents that we saw ourselves as like Hom's second parents in New Zealand, and we saw Hom as like our new daughter in Vietnam, and we knew that she wanted to become a school teacher, and the father said, oh yes, she wanted to become a school teacher from a very early age. And in fact, he said when she had to leave school at age 12 because we could no longer afford to keep her there, she said, I'm not going to stay in the village because I know what will happen to me. I will marry the rice farmer, he get me pregnant, then he get himself a girlfriend, and then he starts beating me up. No, I'll not do that. I'm going to go to the city, Hanoi, and I find the rich foreigner who will help me to become a school teacher. I said, what? Hom left home at age 12 and went to Hanoi on her own. Well, she went with her older sister. Oh, that's not so bad. How old was the older sister? 14. Great. I'm sure that was there were some bad things happened there, but Holmes never talked about it. Of course, we would never ask her. But somehow she got through. And the father said that he's very pleased that we are now helping his daughter to become the school teacher that she's always wanted to be. Then he shook my hand and said, "We are now family." Great. I thought, this is marvellous, you know. I'm now part of a family of the Huong Yên province in North Vietnam. Love it. So that is how we sort of informally adopted Hom as our daughter. And Helen and I were talking to Hom, so we were going back to Hanoi, and we said, we noticed that your mother, when she cooks with straw rice, the straw from the rice plant, bamboo and animal dung. She gets a fire going outside and she cooks on that. Oh yeah, she always done that. I said, well, maybe we could get her a gas cooker. Would she use one? Of course. Is there a gas available to fill the bottles up afterwards in the village? Oh yes, there is. Many people in the village have gas cookers. Okay. So we went to a shop, and it's just over here. You will see that we got a gas cooker and a few pots and pans and saucepans and the like, and that's Holmes' mum opening up the collection, and there it is. We put the cooker together, and she cooked up a meal, and here I am eating a meal with Holmes' parents and her brother. So that was very nice. So on another occasion when I was out at the village, I said to Holmes' dad, now I've read a lot about Huong Yên province and the wet rice production. I said, I've always wanted to try my hand at being a rice farmer. Could I go out into the fields and cut some rice? Oh yes, he said. So he gave me a little scythe, and out I went into the fields, and I began my work as a rice farmer. Here I am, cutting away, as you can see, and afterwards I put the rice I'd cut onto these baskets and carried it back to their house. And after the white rice had been threshed, the grasses were put out on the road to dry. And so I thanked Holmes' father for allowing me to be a rice farmer for a little while, and he said I was very welcome, and he said, in fact, if you would like to come and work permanently out in the fields, I'll pay you $2 a day. So I thought, oh, okay, that's the going rate. But I thought I'll stick with my day job. I was very pleased that I had a privileged upbringing, and I could afford to just stick with my day job. So Hom continued to work hard at the Teachers Training College, and she passed all her exams, and eventually she qualified as a school teacher. But there were more jobs, more students arriving on the market than there were jobs, so she missed out. So I said to her, okay, what I suggest you do is you go to the school that you'd really like to work at, and you say to the principal, I'd like to work as a volunteer, backing up the teachers in any way I could, and I'll do that for nothing. And then when a job becomes available at the school, I'll apply for the job, and you'll have some idea of what I'm like to work around. And so the principal took her on, and Holmes' job was to mark all the tests and the exams, of which I gather in Vietnam there are numerous tests and exams for the students. So she was employed full-time doing that, and Helen and I continued to fund her for her living expenses, or as Hom calls them, my expensive living. So they kept that up for about 2 years, and then eventually one of the teachers retired, and Hom got her job. And today Hom teaches Vietnamese literature, history, mathematics and English to 13 and 14-year-old kids in one of the high schools in Vietnam. And interestingly, she said that the teachers start at 7 in the morning and work through at 11:30, and they teach one school at that point. And then at 1:30, school number 2 comes into the buildings, and they teach them until 5 o'clock. So, you know, when you've got a very dense population and few resources, you can't afford to have a school sitting around not productive for numerous hours a day. We'd have to do that too, no doubt, if we were in a similar situation. But that is one of the things I really liked about getting to know Hom and getting more involved in Vietnam and Vietnamese life, is that it has taught me that there is a lot of different ways to go about doing things, or even being human. And one of the things that really struck me one day, she said to me, I find out my brother-in-law, he cheat on my sister. He has the other woman. I said, oh, what do you do? She said, I say to him, all right, you have the other woman, but it cannot be the same woman every time, because if it's the same woman every time, then she become number 1 in your life and my sister become number 2. No, my sister cannot be number 2 in your life. So you want another woman? All right, but it's got to be a different woman every time. Brother-in-law said, okay, different woman every time. Yes, you cannot go back to the same woman every time. And you can see the internal logic in this, but it is something that a Western woman would never ever say. You know, like if I ever cheated on Helen, I know my sister-in-law would have a lot to say, but it certainly wouldn't be that. And on another occasion too, I got ill when I was over there, and my Vietnamese grandmother gave Hom a bag of sugar to take to me. And I thought, yeah, of course, you know, she's been through numerous famines. You know, literally millions of people have died around her because they haven't got enough to eat. And I'm sure low blood sugars were a big problem for people. I mean, you can pass out with a low blood sugar. You can go into a coma. You know, it gets very, very serious. But of course, low blood sugar is not something that Westerners ever, these days, ever have any problem with. The complete opposite, of course. We eat far too much blessed sugar in our food. But I thought that it really sort of brought it home to me what it means to be living in a country where they have famines. I'd never thought about low blood sugar. And on another occasion, Hom said to me, what do you do in New Zealand about ghosts? I said, what do you mean ghosts? She said, well, the unhappy wandering ghost come into your home, knock things off the shelf, make the people in the home sick. What do you do about that? I said, well, the European European people in New Zealand don't believe in ghosts. The Maori people do, but not the European. What do you mean you don't believe in ghosts? There are ghosts, and that's all there is about it, and you must do something about them. Otherwise they call you much problem. And I thought, yeah, of course. You know, if I'd been living in Vietnam, or even Europe, you know, where they believe in ghosts too, I would believe in ghosts. It's only because I'm a New Zealand European that I don't. But, you know, born up somewhere else, I sure would. And another occasion too, I'm talking to her and I said, oh, Hom, you know, in New Zealand and in the West in general, we've had a lot of problem with Catholic priests. The Catholic priests like having sex with young boys. You had that problem in Vietnam? Never happened in Vietnam. Never happened. Never. Your country, sure. Our country, never be like that. I said, oh, that's wonderful. So the priests here are all celibate. Celibate? What does word mean, celibate? I said, it means you never have sex. No, it doesn't. I said, what do you mean, no it doesn't? This is my first language. I know what these words mean. All right, you tell me what it means. Well, sure. It means you can't be married, but never have sex? Impossible. What do you say it for? Well, everybody know the man, he not lie with the young girl, cannot be happy. Everybody know. Why you laugh? I know why you laugh. You laugh because you forget. You forget what it is like. But you ask anyone younger than you, they tell you, the man he not lie with the woman cannot be happy. I said, so you're telling me that these Catholic priests in your village, they are having sex with young girls? Yes, of course. I said, that's terrible. Why? She said, why? I said, well, that's the priests are taking advantage of their position to sexually exploit young people. That's a terrible thing to do. I don't think so. I thought, yeah, okay. So if I lived in Vietnam, probably I'd think that was okay too. But because I live in the West, I don't think that's okay. I think it's anything but. So, you know, I'm very proud of Hom. Hom has passed all the exams as she wanted to. She worked really hard over a large number of years, 6 years to get through, and she's now working as a school teacher. And you know, as a result of a lot of the things Hom said to me over the years, they have sort of incorporated into our life in New Zealand now. So for instance, one day I was out with Hom and it started to rain. I said, oh no, it's raining. I better get back to the hotel and get myself my raincoat. No, she said, you not do that. I said, why not? She said, if it rain and you get really wet, okay, you go back to the hotel, you have the shower, you change your clothes, you're okay. And if it not rain, you're okay. So either way, you're okay. Do not be the baby. Do not be the baby. And so now when Helen and I are out, if it starts to rain, one of us will look at the other and say, do not be the baby. So, you know, Hom's expressions are incorporated into our everyday life. And another thing I like about Hom is that, you know, you might think that someone who has been her benefactor and helped her get out of working in the streets of Hanoi and get herself a nice middle class job as a school teacher, which she'd always wanted, she would be sort of behoven and be trying to be nice to me all the time and say things that she thought I would want to hear. That would drive me nuts. I want to get the royal oil. I want the real person to come through. And Hom does not feel the least bit beholden to me. On one occasion I said to her, when I was out last night, some young girls started talking to me and they said to me that they would like to be my girlfriend and which one would I like. And I said, oh no, I don't want a young girl to be a girlfriend. And they said, well, you're a very handsome man. I'm sure many, many girls in Hanoi would like to be your girlfriend. And Hom said, no, those girls, they lie to you. I said, what do you mean? She said, they tell you you're handsome, you're not handsome. You're old and you're fat and all your hair is falling out. You listen to me, I tell you the truth. And for some obtuse reason, I do kind of like to hear the truth. I like someone who's not going to just say things to me that they think I want to hear, and Hom certainly does that. So as a result of having Hom in my life, I feel my life is greatly, greatly enriched. So that's it for me. Thank you.